Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another episode of the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony DeMakis from Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. It sounds dumb every time I say it, but that is the reality. We want to do all the things that you, the mold maker, don't have time to do. We want to do the polishing, the welding, the engraving, the hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, all of those things that you need done that you don't know how you're going to get done on a timely manner. That's where we come in. That's where we want to help you out. We also build and sell laser welding and laser engraving equipment here in the United States, located in our Prairie Grove Laser Development Center. That's where we are today. And that is really who we are. That's what we want to do. That's how we get things done. We want to serve you, right? So whatever that looks like. Right now, I'm telling you, if you're a mold maker, we are feeling your pain. I am hearing, and Eric and I will get into this a little bit. I am hearing that people are slow and things are starting to pick back up. What does that mean for you? Well, that means that if you need any polishing done, I got just the guys to help you out. We have been slow for a very long time, and I don't have a problem saying that because in talking with Lori Harbor a couple weeks ago, she feels confident that the market is going to bounce back and pick up. And we will get into all that today, and we'll talk about some more stuff as well. But before we get to that, I want to go over a couple things. The first one is that if you, come on, you can do it. There you go. If you like what you're hearing and you want to be involved and you want to know more about what's happening with our show, please, please, please like and subscribe to the show so that you don't miss something that's coming up, right? We've got Make Manufacturing Fun Again with Justine from the TMA. We've got some of those coming up. They are almost done being edited, and it's a lot of fun. I can't tell you all the stuff about it, but we're going to be having more podcasts. We've got a whole lineup of shows coming up, which I didn't upload. I should have uploaded, but we are booked out till the middle of April with guests that are going to be coming on the show. Everybody that has something to do with manufacturing, and it's going to be great. We are going to be at PT Expo coming up here shortly, March 18th through the 20th. You will be there also. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Closer. Yeah. He's going to be there also. It's a great time. It is like the paradise for mold makers and plastics people here in the Midwest. Rosemont, Illinois, 18th to the 20th. We are still trying to figure out if we are going to be able to do some sort of E210 event where we're going to help the community. We may look at doing something with Feed My Starving Children again. The only issue that we're having is now there are some evening activities that are taking place with PT Expo. But if you would like to go to PT Expo, leave a message in the chat. We have some free coupons to give away, some free entries to give away so that you don't have to pay. I'm trying to save you some money here, okay? So that is really, really important for you, I'm sure. And while you are there, stop by and see us. We are going to be showcasing all of our laser welding and laser engraving equipment, including the ID1 and the Advantage laser engraving system. And every purchase of a machine built by Alliance, a portion of that sale will go to the Tim Tebow Foundation to help end the awfulness of human trafficking because it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we can do something to get to do our part to try and make a difference, make an impact, and get rid of this horrible thing. So that's really the introduction to our show. This is a live show. Remember that this is a live show. Why is that important? That is important because it means that that we want you to be part of our conversations. We want you to be part of the show with us. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you are listening to what we have to say and you think, wow, I wish I knew more about this, right? Then go ahead and type that in the chat. We want to hear from you. We want you to be part of this conversation with us. It only provides value to somebody if they're willing to join in. And when you join in, tell us who you are, where you work for. We will shout out your company. We'll give you some kudos. Everybody wants a little extra marketing credit. So make sure you do that. What else? Let's just get into it, hey?
Yeah, man, you went full community calendar, right off the box. You've got it all figured out. boom, boom, boom.
Well-
And I came completely unprepared.
Yeah.
Completely.
We got to get all the housekeeping out of the way first.
Well
So once we get that done, now we can move on to the other stuff. I have the privilege of sitting down with Eric Sandberg today, president of National Tool and Manufacturing.
Sir.
We've known each other for quite a little while now.
I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
How long has it been? How long you been?
I've been in the industry for 8 years.
Okay.
I've been annoying people for 8 years now.
Okay.
And it's been good. How long have you been in the industry?
15 years.
15.
15 years in National Tool.
Okay.
So I've been in the steel business for a long time.
Yep.
Started out at National in, hey, it wasn't even National. It was not even National at the time. We, my family, my dad bought a company called Midwest Steel,
Okay.
a steel company here. And we ended up buying out our largest customer, which was National Tool.
Okay.
In 15 years, I've gotten the question of National Tool. What happened to National Tool? It was the household name in mold making.
Yeah.
And now lucky enough to be, humbled to be the president of National Tool, which at one time was a massive name
Okay.
in a big industry.
Yeah. And you guys are located where?
Dundee, Illinois. We have our steel processing division, and then we have a full mold base shop in Elgin.
And that's, I mean, let's tell everybody, what is your focus? Like when people are like, okay, this is Eric. Why do I need to know Eric? How is he going to help me?
Well, okay. For your podcast here, you deal with a lot of different ends of manufacturing.
Yeah.
I'm very focused in steel, primarily for the mold industry.
Sure.
So mold bases, processed mold steel. We do a lot of mold base machining. And really, it's a small industry, mold making.
It is.
It's still something as far as an agenda I would want to talk about is relationships with people.
Yeah.
It's still important in mold making,
Yep.
mold manufacturing in the U.S. is it feels like these relationships in today's day and age kind of fall apart.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. And I think it's good to set a foundation, right? Like when we want to talk about all things manufacturing, all things US manufacturing. And that falls into different categories of things, right? Like it's important to know who we are because that's what our experience is, right? So you're talking to a guy who works in the mold making and mold repair industry, and a guy that's selling mold bases to mold makers. But Eric and I were at lunch today, and we were just talking about how like business is business across the spectrum, right? It doesn't matter if you're manufacturing something. It doesn't matter if you're what your industry is. There's a lot of things that still apply in business one way or another. And relationships is a huge part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jen Newell, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. She says, this dialogue on diverse, I mean, she's jumping right into some stuff here. This dialogue on diverse roles reveals so much about team dynamics. How can we better match personality with function in our business?
No.
I mean, she's like right out the gate, she's throwing us some big stuff.
I think so.
Which is great.
Wow. It's certainly something I've been thinking about a lot. We talked about earlier is I feel like I hate to put this on a COVID deal.
Sure.
But during COVID, I feel like people got more into their roles and what they like to do. And I don't know exactly how to put this, but you have your core group of work that you like to do or something to specialize in. And I feel like people got more focused on that.
Yes.
Specialization.
I think COVID was a horrible thing, right? Nobody is glad that COVID came, but I think it taught us a lot of things about ourselves and our business and the way that we do business and the people that we work with. And it allows us the opportunity to learn and grow. And I think to your point, when a lot of people were working from home during COVID or they were in the office for a short period of time, or they were separated from people because of barriers or whatever that looks like, they were focusing more on their task than the relationships.
Mhm.
Would you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, I think so.
And so when you're working from home, I think you're incredibly productive. Like my wife works from home all the time. She's incredibly productive at home. I know the girls in our office, Jessica works from home, Michelle works from home, Steve Mullins works at home. Like different people work at home at different times. Work from home is not my thing because I am not incredibly productive when I work from home because I have too many distractions in my life.
Really?
Oh yeah. I like the things in my house too much. And I would rather be doing the things that I like to do in my house than the things I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to be working. So that's me.
Yeah, you're a high energy guy though. You would keep doing stuff.
I would keep doing stuff, but I enjoy people. I enjoy being around people. I kind of thrive around people. I think I'm able to be much more collaborative when I have people around me. And I think ideas can grow easier. But I also think that if you are working independently, then working at home is a great thing. Because you can focus.
I always feel like working from home. If I'm ever at home, there's always something chirping away in the back of my head. Like you should seeking out more things to do.
Yeah.
I end up actually calling more people.
Yeah. Do you really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you feel guilty when you're at home? Like I'm not doing enough. I should be at the office.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm at the office most of the time. But when I do, I end up calling actually more customers.
Yeah.
And they're probably sick of hearing from me.
Yeah. You're like, would you go to work? Stop being at home.
Yeah, I think so. I do have a fair, I noticed one of my best guys, Gabe, chiming in here. Gabe. Gabe is great to talk with. He's one of the few guys like you that I get a chance to really open up to business wise and what we're seeing. Frankly, it's the best part of
the relationship
working. Yes. Yeah. Being able to talk to people about what they're going through and having similar situations.
It's definitely a unique thing. Gabe, how are you? Gabe from Western Carolina. Love doing work with you. Love having you as a friend. Thank you for being part of the show and watching with us. If you have any questions or thoughts, please put them in the comments on the chat. And that goes for anybody watching. Please say hello to us. Put it in the comments on the chat. What you were just saying, I think that as owners and presidents of the company, I had a realization like 2 years ago, probably, that I'm never really going to have quote unquote work friends. Like when you work somewhere, you got your work people, right? You got your friends, you got your like best work friends, you got like all these things. And when your position changes and now you're quote unquote the man, right? Like people see you differently. And so the conversations around the water cooler change, and it can be a very lonely experience. I mean, you're surrounded by people, right? But it can be a very lonely experience because what happened with me is I get in my own head sometimes. I will admit that. I'm a little bit crazy sometimes. But what I had to wonder is like, do these people like me because I pay them, or do these people like me because they like me? And what does that actually look like, right?
That's extremely deep.
I know, man.
Extremely deep. It's a legitimate thought. I'm very happy, very lucky with all the people we have that I think I confide a lot in, and try and bring as much. Truth be told, I come from a steel background, and I was not born in mold making. Yeah. I have much more of a steel background. I rely much more on my people. Sure. Technically, well, over time, I've learned a good amount of the mold industry and talk a good game, but I'm not a mold maker.
Yeah, same.
I survive on the strength of our whole mold making team.
And that's important, right? You have to be able to trust your team and rely on them in all the areas that you feel like you might be lacking in, right?
Yeah, man, we jumped into this like really quick. It's just been well, this was strange here because throw the fourth wall down here a little bit. We are in Was this Prairie Grove?
We are in Prairie Grove, Illinois.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But your other office is in Wakanda,
Yeah.
which is close by.
It's 15 minutes away.
Okay. When I was a kid, played baseball quite a bit. Used to go to Wakanda every weekend.
Really?
At Pizza Sam's.
Yes.
They're the famous pizza place.
Yep.
They serve these little pizza donuts.
Yep.
We would go there every week after baseball. Owner was a cool guy. Take us in the kitchen, had video games, whole 9 yards.
Yep.
If I had known back then that it was going to be so close to Progressive.
Oh, yeah.
I've never met her, but there's another gal on your street that does the gears.
Nicole Walter. Love you, Nicole.
Super marketing.
Yeah.
In
She's all
manufacturing.
over the place.
Okay.
She is a voice, right? I mean, she is doing a great job of speaking for manufacturing as a whole. She's getting the attention of media, national media, and able to be able to tell her story on what that looks like to be a female in manufacturing and a female owner in manufacturing.
I've seen her on all sorts of national news. It's impressive. And Progressive, you is like the center of manufacturing marketing in Wakanda.
You know, Glenn Starkey talks about it all the time, how we are like the perfect corridor, the Midwest corridor for all these different areas. You know, we're close to Chicago, we're close to Milwaukee, we're close to Rockford. There's ways to get to where we need to get to. When we first moved to Wakanda, it was like a ghost town, and not a ghost town. It was just a small town, but it's grown. I mean, the most exciting thing in Wakanda when we moved here was Disc and Dat, which was a music store, and Jewel. That was it. Like
it's
the Sam's.
It's bar central.
Yes.
There's 100 bars on a big giant lake.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's good, right? We have the opportunity to do the work that we need to do. We are close enough to people that we can do the work. And what's nice is, I mean, you probably see this. I mean, it's in your name, national, right? You don't have to be next door to somebody to do their work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You can ship stuff wherever it needs to go. It's not hard.
Yeah.
And technology has allowed us to share drawings and share prints and be able to do all the things that we need to do in order to manufacture. It's not.
Well, in a way,
distance is not the big issue anymore.
In a way, that's a bad thing. It is because there are not the shops everywhere that there used to be.
Yes.
National at one time, if there's a lot of mold people watching right now, majority will have an old national catalog.
Yep.
An old orange catalog. I still have one on my desk. We make none of the products on there anymore, but everyone still has one.
Sure.
And you flip it over on the back and there's 20 locations on there. Like 3 factories, 15 sales offices. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And it is not what it once was. We used to make standard products that were made in bulk, and all those customers have gone by the wayside. There's other component companies still supplying, but we had to pivot into steel and ultra custom mold bases to supply a set group of customers.
How did you make that decision to abandon the previous business model and go into like, we were doing this. We had catalogs in everybody's office. People knew who we were for this thing. We're going to shift gears. We're going to turn, and now we're going to do custom mold bases.
That was not my decision.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fair.
There was contraction at National before that. National had struggled to the point where they had already closed up majority of those locations.
Okay.
We were still supplying them plate. Midwest is actually a very successful growing plate company.
Sure.
And at that point, when we took over National, the decision was made, no more standard mold bases. The price that it eroded on standard off the shelf mold bases, we could not make them in bulk and stock them.
Yep.
And it was, as it turned out, it was a great decision. I wish I could take credit for it, but
it's funny how that stuff works out, right? You don't know. You have to trust that you're making the right decision sometimes. And you know, who knows? Maybe with the wrong people making that decision, it's not the right decision. But if you have the gumption and you've got the grit and the determination, you can turn that into the right decision.
Maybe if it's driven. You're right. Hindsight is 2020. It seemed to be a good decision. As it worked out now, it could have gone the other direction.
Yeah.
I like to think that we're doing pretty well. I'm very happy with how things are going.
Yeah.
I'd be much happier if there were still the amount of shops there
Right.
were 15
Right.
years ago, that we had satellite offices manufacturing all over. The fact that we're able to supply as much of the mold making community here from one location is kind of unfortunate.
Yep.
But
No, I agree with you. And that's one of those things that's scary, right? Is the amount of shops that are closing. And you and I have talked about this a bunch of times. The idea of private equity coming in and buying random shops, not random shops, but they're shopping mold makers, they're shopping manufacturing companies, and they know business, but they don't necessarily know this business. And what does that actually look like when you're talking to a mold maker who was run one way and now they're running a different way? What experiences have you had with that? Because
a lot gets lost.
Yeah.
People that I want to be as humble. Well, I want to be as humble as possible here too. I've been at this for 15 years. I feel like it has taken this long to get a little bit of understanding to how things work.
Sure.
If a customer or if a bank comes in and buys a customer right now, they'll have their idea of how business should run, but they don't know in reality how things run. And if you take it from today's perspective of, unfortunately, most people, if you're looking for something, you're going to go on the internet and find it.
Sure.
You're going to search. You're searching. Google is your first resource.
Yeah.
Instead of, I know Tony down the street, he does this or knows someone.
Yeah.
Relying on that resource, which
that goes back to the relationship conversation.
I feel talking here. I knew this before going in.
Yeah.
That I was going to be the old man shaking my fist at a cloud, saying this is the way things used to be. This is the way things were. And I don't feel like I'm that old, okay?
No,
I don't. But the way things are of not having those relationships, I'm going to do the research on my own. I'm going to vet their website. I'm going. I said I didn't want to give away a bunch of our secrets. Okay, we do 99.9% of our processing.
Okay,
we don't do wire EDM in-house.
Okay.
We don't. But we have a couple customers that need us to wire some things out.
Yep.
We know a guy in Little Garage that does wire EDM for us. Turns it around in 2 days.
Yep.
Very affordable. He doesn't have a website. To be honest, he doesn't speak English very well. But by knowing him, it's a resource for us. It's a resource for our customers. If I go to the guy with the fancy dancy website, he's going to charge 10 times as much, and he doesn't want our one job every 6 months.
Right.
That is what gets lost when a big shop comes in, an old owner retires. The old owner had that relationship.
Yep.
And it's gone.
Yep. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? It's somebody hires you to do the job. They want you to do the job. They want you to get it done.
Yeah.
If you're outsourcing a part of that to somebody else that you trust, that you vetted, that has done good work with you for a long time, you're still taking full responsibility for that job.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's done right and making sure that it's done on time. But it's in this day and age, it's impossible to have a full shop that does everything across the board, right? And so what we have to do is we have to look at utilizing those other people that do some of the things that we don't, right? Because you can't hire everybody.
We try and do as much as possible.
Yes, of course.
It's unfortunately next to impossible to outsource most of it.
Yeah.
There's just not that many existing resources.
Yep.
We've had other people doing the same line of work we're doing, close up shop, and there's not a bunch opening their doors to jump into it.
And that's one of those things that I think is kind of scary. And if you're listening, Gabe or Daryl Greatrick says is also joining us, my friend from up north. If Trump has his way, it'll be the 51st state. I don't know how you feel about that, Daryl, but that's a whole different conversation that we don't really need to go into. It's just a funny thing I wanted to say. Mold makers are they're not as prevalent, and you can't find them as much as you used to. They are becoming a harder and harder thing to find. And when people are offshoring things, and then we have this push to bring everything back, I think it's great, right? Like American made is my baby. I think that's a great idea. I mean, you guys are an American company. We're an American company. We think American made matters for so many reasons. But man, if we don't have the people, we're going to have a problem.
Well, it's very, very difficult to train people. It's a long process.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hours, highly skilled labor. The machines are very expensive as well.
Yes.
Very, very high capital business, highly skilled. And again, I want this to come off in a positive way.
It is.
I really enjoy I really enjoy what we're doing. But as far as it's not really an advertisement for mold making here. It's very capital intensive to buy expensive machines for a tough business where end users are still very price conscious.
Yes.
Very, very price conscious. And we were talking, it's on everyone's mind. Steel tariffs, prices going up. Prices are gonna go up on everything.
Yep.
There's no way around it.
Yep. Well, I did a survey a few weeks back before MD&M West, and I was asking people the question. Like I put it on LinkedIn, I posted it. Some people thought I was nuts for doing it. Other people said, nice job, good idea. What does American made mean to you? And when can you say a product is American made? Is it that you have a warehouse in the US? Is it that the headquarters is in the US? Is that the engineering starts in the US and then it gets built somewhere else? Or is it that it's assembled in the US? Or is that all of it takes place in the US? What is that to you? And there were some outliers, but most of the people said it needs to be thought of and built and manufactured all here in the United States for it to be an American-made product. Now, the next question is that important to you, right? Because it's one thing to say, like, we can identify what an American-made product is. It's a different thing to say, does it actually matter? And are you willing to put your dollars and your resources to that? Or do you want to just save money?
Well, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to that. I don't know where it begins or ends, because you think about it a different way. Like the whole shop local, buy local, all that, having everything close, you're supporting your community. It's great.
Yeah,
it is great. It's a good concept. How realistic to some level? I think it's impossible in manufacturing, unfortunately.
Yeah,
impossible to be 100% US, whether it's materials, whether it's machines. As far as national tool, we're chopping up the steel from head to tail, from raw steel to making everything in-house. We don't have all American machines.
Sure.
I feel like we're doing as much as we can here.
And that's the best you can do, right? Like there are certain things that you just can't, right? You can't. I'll be transparent and honest. We tried using, so we have our new line of laser engravers. It's the Advantage and the Spark. The Advantage is a larger one. It will be at PT Expo. You can come use it. We're going to demo it. So like, come, you will get to play with the machine. It's great. We tried to use an American made laser. We couldn't find one that we liked. And so our laser is from overseas. It's a MOPA laser. It gives you more frequency. It gives you more adjustability, more flexibility. in the things that you're able to engrave and the way that you're able to engrave it. And it was a fraction of the price. And so we had to listen to our customers and deliver on something that they were looking for. Now, it's all made here. Like the whole machine is made here. The base is made here. It's all assembled here. It's engineered here. It's built here. But the laser is not from here. I still consider that an American-made product.
Yeah, I don't have any room to judge.
Yeah,
Really, you're doing the best for your people here, trying to give the best product and make it all work.
If you're listening, do you think I'm right? Is it an American-made product, or do you feel like that is I mean, maybe it's like a United Nations kind of product. I don't know. I don't know how you would say that, but it is supporting a company and a community here, right? I think Daryl's got a good point when he says we need to be collaborating in North America to bring the work back from overseas. I think North America, like, it's like a biblical concept, right? Like, who's your neighbor? Who is our community? Is it the shops down the street? Is it for me? Is it Westminster Tool in Connecticut? Because I mean, it's a long ways away, but we're still a community. Is it Prestige in California? Like, for me, I feel like our community is really, really big. It's like the mold making community or the plastics community, even on a larger scale. Into Daryl's point, in North America, what do you think of that?
Well, I have my qualms about a Canadian business.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
Sure.
I would love to do more business in Canada, or
Daryl,
or
call
vice
Eric.
versa. There's a little problem with us not having much success selling up into Canada.
Okay.
I think it's freight, customs, and a currency disadvantage.
Sure.
So that has typically been an issue. It's hard to overcome. And a number of our mold making customers lose out to a lot of Canadian shops over that price difference. It's hard to lose when you really service customers. There's a lot of value to that service. Losing out on price is no fun.
No,
That is
nobody likes
that is a really tricky one.
Yeah, because you want to bring your best to the table, right?
We were talking earlier about roles, and my role at National Tool changed.
Yeah,
I was a sales guy.
Yeah,
a lot of people will say I'm still a sales guy. I will always be a sales guy.
because you're the face.
Well, that's scary for the people.
I mean,
the face. Right now, I look like the ghost, white as can be in here.
it's cold. It's winter. We haven't seen the sun and some heat in a little while.
Okay. Well, since now I'm moving into administration as well, you see a different perspective. You kind of perspective and goals change a little bit, and you see the people that are working in the shop.
Yep.
As more of instead of they're hunting that customer. Priorities kind of change into feeding that shop and all the people that are working there.
Yep.
To put in all that work and see potential work of feeding all those guys and growing this company and being in control of the investment. Like we've added, millions of dollars in machines over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Millions. You still make payments on.
Yes.
It's just expensive.
Yeah.
A constant beast that you need to keep feeding. When you bend over backwards and see these opportunities, and then you lose out on price, that's when some of those cheaper options seem like, oh, maybe I'll compromise.
Sure.
One of the I hate to even say this, but one of the 20 Chinese mold-based companies per night that email me. And since we started doing a lot more social marketing, I would say 20 mold-based companies from China per night.
Just reaching out and seeing if you want to be a partner of theirs.
Partner. You guys build mold bases, we'll build mold bases for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Do it here. It's cheaper. It's cheaper. So when you do see that company who's we have a lot of steel customers. Steel is very good business for us. We actually National Tool is a very focused business.
Okay.
We have 4 core types of steel that we inventory. Of those 4 steels, we are the best. That is it. I challenge anyone in the steel that we carry, we are the best option.
Okay.
Okay. If you give us a mold-based job and you want it ground and squared and milled and chamfered, surface ground, anything we do, that is our goal to be the best at that.
Okay.
And when I see one of those opportunities, one of the customers that I've lusted after for being a sales guy for someone, when I see all of a sudden that company that would never talk to anyone, and then I look at import records and see they're buying Chinese. Disheartening.
Well, yeah, because like you said, you're putting in all the work and all the effort, and to lose out just because of cost. We started out earlier talking about COVID and how COVID was admittedly a horrible thing. But I'll tell you what was great about COVID is we got busy. Did you get busy?
Yeah.
We got busy. And that was like the beginning of that reshoring, right? Where you couldn't get work from China. It was closed, right? There were higher tariffs, but the factories were closed, right? You couldn't get work out of China. And so everything had to come back to the US. And so I remember that we were all, as mold makers, we were deemed necessary, right? We were all deemed necessary because of the things that we do. We work in food and beverage. We work in medical. We work in automotive. We work in all of these things that are necessary for, work in building protective garments and ventilator pieces and all this stuff. And so we were a necessary industry, and it was good, right? Like it was good. But you and I had talked about it, and I talked about it with people before, and I'm sure I've said it on here, is you knew that it was good, but you also knew that the reality of greed was going to set back in. And so while everybody was being fed and things were working well, it was only a matter of time before people went back and said, hey, remember when we used to get this cheaper and it was almost as good? Remember that? Why don't we do that again?
One of my best guys actually brought this up at the time. He saw it. I didn't even see it. I was writing letters to all of our people, so they had a letter to show the police of what they were doing on the street. I'm thinking of that. What? Actually, Matt, our best guys, goes. Now should be the time. We are killing ourselves. Now is the time the rates should readjust. But everyone in mold making has been working at set rates. It's all a private matter and all, but now should be the time. We should be getting what everyone else in can't get your car fixed,
right,
for under $100 an hour,
right.
Things need a reset,
right.
And all it takes is one guy to say, "Oh, my backlog's gotten low, dropping my rate," and it's over. And it's over.
That's a really hard thing, because then you are losing out to, and this is a conversation that we have all the time is, you want to provide good for your employees. You have a clean environment. You have good equipment. You got good machines. You got people that you trust, and you're competing with the guy in his garage with no insurance. And if something goes wrong with the plates or whatever you're making, he's not going to help you out. He's not going to insure that. He's not going to pay for it. Right. That's one of those areas that we struggle with all the time is, we have a large staff. We've got 10 polishers on staff. That's a big staff as far as polishing. Right. We have a lot of overhead. We got things that we have to cover, but we're also guaranteeing the work that we do. And so then you have somebody who'll say like, yeah, well, if you can't beat this guy's price, we're going to give it to them. And this guy's working in his garage. It's just him. He doesn't have insurance. If it goes wrong, he's just going to close the door. You're not going to have the parts fixed. You're not going to have the ability to do any of that stuff. And the question becomes like, how do you compete in that environment? I know it's a big one, right?
Maybe 6 months before that, should have been working on the relationship with that customer. So it's never even a question.
Sure.
That is, you would hope that your customer would see that and remember all the things that you work together on. That's, there have been some closures in mold making recently. And I talk to a lot of people, and I also get a lot of the things swimming in my head of what happened, what caused the downfall of these.
Yeah, sure.
And my conclusion, it was a breakdown of a lot of relationships at some of these companies.
Yeah.
Where you lost that personal touch, for good or bad. And my wife will say this is a bad thing. Customers have my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Call me.
Yep.
All the time. Well, welcome to.
Yep.
I actually love hearing from you. Love hearing from you. But all these customers know that if they call me and tell me what they truly need, I will do everything I can to make it work.
Absolutely.
I would bend over backwards because they're the customer.
Yeah.
They're what pays for all of this and keeps it going and allows us to grow. So the next harder demand we can accomplish or have more people. We're going down the rabbit hole on more equipment.
I mean, yeah.
Considering it, but
you want
it's expensive. Right? It's expensive.
It is expensive. And I think it's a very difficult thing to do because, you know, you can try to match price for price. I'm going to you gave me one of your secrets. This is a secret I have. I didn't come up with this. There's a guy, his name is Chris Voss. Chris Voss is he is a former hostage negotiator with the FBI. And he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. Great book. It's an awesome book. One of the biggest things I got out of that was this exchange where somebody is trying to get you to come down on your price. And instead of fighting with them on why you deserve that price, his suggestion, and like I tell this story all the time, so I can't use it anymore. Because if you hear me say this, you're gonna be like, you didn't come up with that. That's Chris Voss. I know what you're trying to do. But it plays, right? So it kind of goes like this, where you're talking to a customer and the customer says, I was talking to this place over here. They said they could do it for this price. Sorry, right? And your response is, if I will do it for that price, who will you give the work to? And if they say you, your next question is why? If they say, because you have faster delivery times, because if something goes wrong, you have insurance, because you have the team to be able to get it all done on time, because you've come through for me in the past, because like they're going to give you the reasons why you are the better option if you will do it for that price. And his response then is, well, isn't that worth something? So that you don't have to give the reasons, you get the reasons from your customer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they still might go, yeah, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you could do it for that price.
Yeah.
You don't know what the response is actually going to be with that. But I just think that there has to be more to the conversation than price, and relationship is a big part of that. Daryl was asking, Daryl says, how is Eric making out with hiring mold makers or machinists?
Struggling.
Yeah.
Struggling. I don't think there's any secret sauce around here. It's not the easiest thing. I talk about being blessed, extremely blessed. I have a lot of people internally especially on the machining side, that like training people, like working with young people.
Yep.
They really take the reins as far as working with these guys. Without it, would be lost. Um, but it's a universal problem. A universal problem. You think with shops closing, I keep bringing up, competitor closing here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm conflicted on it.
Okay.
This is a competitor I've been going against for 15 years. Why I'm hiding their name. Mold Base Industries, a company out in Pennsylvania, closed their doors. And it's a name that I heard for 10 years as the gold standard in mold bases. They were a great competitor. And you hear news of this company closing. Should it be, oh, wow, we thrived and they did not. We did it to them. I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel that way at all.
Were you sad about it?
It's a strange feeling that it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
It would be better if we were both thriving.
Sure.
If we were both thriving. It's not good to have a company with 50 people going out of business in a small town. They're going to leave mold making.
Yeah.
That's 50 people out of a finite community disappearing.
Right. Because it says what's happening to the industry as a whole.
They didn't close because they were
too busy.
Yeah, they were too busy. Everyone was getting $10,000 bonuses every month.
Is it one of those situations and I don't know, is it one of those situations where the ownership is old? They don't have anybody to pass it down to. They decide they're just going to close and sell all their assets. They didn't want to go down the direction like we talked about, private equity or selling it to somebody else. I mean, I guess I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know if you know.
I don't know exactly what happened. I'm sure I'll hear later on through the grapevine. I wouldn't want to guess publicly.
It's interesting that they didn't call you and say, hey, we're closing. You want to buy our lists
of customers or no. Well, maybe they're not as friendly of competitors that they feel
they're closing. So I would listen, if we're ever going to close, I'm gonna call all y'all and say, do you want to buy the list of customers we have? Because if I'm closing, I need one last hurrah of sales.
Tony, I talk to everybody. I answer my phone from everybody.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why I wouldn't talk to them.
Yeah.
There's no reason. And again, they were for years and years. If I called somebody and said, "No, we're dealing with Mold Base Industries," I knew I was hitting the right door. It's not it wasn't. I'm buying from XYZ company in China and this or whatever. Barking up the right door. So I think somehow maybe I grew like a little bit of a heart somehow.
You did? You like the Grinch? It grew like 3 sizes too big?
I don't know. If we maybe interviewed some of the people at National, they might think differently. But and even with, we talk about these relationships with customers. If I ever play the hard guy in the shop, I'm always rooting for the customer. And this is another conflicting thing about the mold-based industries. We've seen a fair share of new customers.
Yeah.
With that comes that trust factor. Taking on new customers. It's a crapshoot from time to time.
Sure. You don't know what you're going to get.
It's a legitimate concern.
Yeah. It's a hard thing. I mean, new customers, you always want new customers. We always want new customers. We want to work with people we haven't worked with before, but you don't know what you're going to get necessarily. And, you got to make sure that your terms are right and everything is buttoned up, because, it sucks when you do a bunch of work and then that person never pays you.
I got a roundabout story here.
It's like the joys of small business. Hey, everybody, this episode is the joys of small business. Thank you for joining us in our depression and our optimism.
We're dealing with a steel guy right now.
Yeah.
And I remember how we got him, how we got the name and everything, and great account. Yeah. Great steel account. And the first conversation I actually had with him, we negotiated this first order. And it was $35,000. And I asked for a little bit down.
Yeah,
A brand new guy,
fair.
brand new guy out of the
Fair.
box. I've been to this guy's building. Concerned,
it's fair
very offended.
that you wanted
He
money
was
down?
very shocked.
Really?
Shocked. Like shocked. Finally, I say, it's a pretty nice new car. I'm telling you, a pretty nice new car. Yeah, you walk in by a new car, they're not just going to hand you the keys.
Yeah.
Okay. This gentleman actually came down, drove to our shop, said, good. When he wouldn't give us any money, I said, hey, thanks. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a nice day. Must have really needed the steel. Came back, which made me even more leery. Okay. He came back after this offense and said, I really thought about it, and you're right. Over the past year and a half, beautiful account.
Yeah.
Great. It has worked out perfectly. Actually, the guy pays incredibly, and everything worked out. But as a sales guy, I would have seen that and tried to find any way to make it happen. When you have to make the call to say, "Hey, I'm still waiting on that check for $35,000,"
And it sucks making those calls. No, I mean, it sucks on both ends, right? When you don't have the money, like if you have the money and you're not paying, then you're being a deadbeat.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. But it sucks when you don't have the money and somebody calls and you're like, I don't got the money right now. Can you give me a little bit more time? But then don't be offended when somebody puts you on COD or you're a new customer and they say you got to pay for a part of this up front. I mean, like I think that's entirely fair. Especially as a new account, because you don't know what you're going to get. How many times have you been burnt? I can tell you how many times. I can't tell you how many times I've been burnt by, you do all this work for somebody. Everything turns out great. You do everything you're supposed to do. There's no issue with the work that you did. And for whatever reason, that company goes out of business and you are SOL. You get nothing. Right?
Well, that's also the old secret is for a cheaper price, you can buy stuff overseas. They don't take credit. They don't take credit. The world's largest mold-based company, 3-letter name company over in China, 10,000 customers, less than 10 they give credit to.
Okay, so you got to pay for everything up front.
Everything up front.
Unless you're here.
Yeah, still here.
Yeah.
You pay up front, and maybe things have changed, but from what their top brass had told me, 10 customers.
Yeah.
Credit. Everybody else, you pay up front. You get the good deal, you pay up front. This gentleman that is actually a really cool guy now that I'm much further down the line. Took a call from him the other day. Got me really thinking because I knew I was going to be on this podcast here. And he goes, Eric, I got to be honest with you. I'm a really good mold maker. He goes, I love mold making. I've been making molds here for 40 years.
Okay.
40 years. Love it. Train myself. Great. He goes, the business stuff is killing me. He goes, dealing with all these business hassles and the just everything involved with it, worried about the steel, worried about this and that, and training new people. He would do anything he could do to get back running, making molds. Because that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a roundabout way, that brings us to the specialization and what people are really looking to do now. Truthfully, I have no answers. I have no answers on this. It's still something that I'm working on personally. Is to identify what people really want to do, what they're good at. At work, and put them into the correct role. Yeah, because there are a lot of people that are very well, much better suited than me at many, many, many things. To put them into the wrong role doesn't help anyone.
Have you read the book Traction?
Nope.
Okay, so there's a book. It's called Traction, and it's basically the entrepreneurial operating system, EOS, and we started going through it a few years ago, and we hit a couple roadblocks here and there, but there's a big part of that. It's like the people finder, right? You have to have the right person and put the right person in the right seat. And in order to put somebody in the right seat, you have to see, do they want it? Do they get it? And can they do it? It's something like that, right? Those are three very different things, right? Like, I can identify somebody that I think would be good in a leadership role. But if they don't see themselves in that capacity and they don't want to do those things, then that's never going to work, right? You have to find people that want to fill that role that you have to fill. You can't force them into it. I mean, you can, but it's probably not going to go well.
Yes. And at a small company, National Tool is 50 people.
Okay.
There's a set number of roles that need to be filled. There are not, at most of our companies, there's not a lot of auxiliary roles
Right.
for someone to specialize in this and only this.
Right.
I'm only going to do this one scope of work.
Yep.
And you also, for a long time, maybe things have changed slightly here, you only have a limited amount of candidates.
Yes.
Of people that are interested in working for a company. Manufacturing, in my perspective anyways, is not going to be a work from home only remote position.
No.
For majority of things.
No.
Finding those people was tough.
Yeah.
And then to also select them for the right role and motivate them the way it's a complicated issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of places are struggling, and you're right. During the COVID time, people would hire anyone to do anything this much. And now things, I believe, have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially big company wise. Seem to be letting people go left and right.
There does. I mean, when you guys are hiring people, what are you looking for?
Typically, we're looking for a role where we have a role to fill,
okay,
position to fill. Maybe it's something that needs to get fine-tuned a little bit. Don't think we have the foresight that maybe we should on those positions.
Sure.
And a lot of times the individual would come in for some of these extra roles, and it would shuffle them around a little bit. It's maybe not as clear as it should be.
Shuffle them around as in put them in different positions first to see how they perform?
We don't have that many extra roles. It's more of you're in this inside role or you're in a components role, okay, or whatever the case is. And they take on more and more responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, is a good thing.
Yep.
A sink or swim thing. But we really have very few office roles. It's a very production environment. Yep. Actually, compared to majority of our competitors, we are very production heavy. For years and years, we had I'm still probably the salesperson that most people know of National Tool.
Yep.
We have added a couple guys, and National Tool's oldest employee has moved into an outside role. Mike Murtha. He's been a great guy for us for years and years, and has been out calling on customers, and it's working out great.
Good.
It's working out great.
That's awesome.
But we've never had guys full time on the road, boots on the ground, because we're really good at production.
It's good.
Yeah.
If you can get by with just word of mouth, I mean, good for you. You're doing something right. Right. If you don't have to be out there pounding the pavement and doing that, I mean, good for you. That's amazing. We are not that fortunate. Most of our work is repeat customers, but we still need to be going out there and figuring out like where that's coming from. To your point, I was at MD&M West, and I was fortunate enough to be part of the News and Brews crew, which was covering all the news at MD&M West. It was a ton of fun. I loved every minute of it. And I met a woman named Ann Wyatt. So Ann Wyatt is an influencer in the space, and she owns and runs a placement company.
Oh, okay.
And so we were talking about different things, and it's really hard for me to use a placement company. And I told her this story. I said, because I don't like the pricing structure of placement companies, where I know how much you're worth, right? I know how much this position is that I need to fill. And a lot of times when you use a placement company, they will give you somebody, and if they last a year, you have to pay them a portion of that person's salary above and beyond, right? So like, if you know somebody is going to be making, fill in the gap, whatever number that is, you got to pay them 30% of what that is, or whatever that looks like, right? And I told her, I said, most times what happens is you have now made that person unhireable to me, because I can't invest that much money in that position, because I know what that position is supposed to cost. And if they leave after a year, that sucks, right? Like, you're gone. Like that's not going to happen. And so we were talking about this situation, and she said, what positions are you trying to hire? And I said, you really want to know? And she was like, yeah. I was like, mold makers, even more specifically, hot runner specialists. And she was like, oh, that's a hard one to find. I was like, I know. It's like when you're looking for an experienced mold maker who's ready for a career change and to do something differently. And by differently, I don't mean totally different profession, but like just go somewhere else. It's like looking for a unicorn. Now you want to have a hot runner specialist, you're finding a blonde unicorn. It's not as easy to find those positions. And so where we've had some success, and I give Ray Coombs and Westminster Tool all the credit for this, is hiring for character and training for skill. I really never look at resumes. Like, when somebody applies to work for us, if they have a resume, I mean, like, good for you. But I usually like to just sit down and talk with the person and make sure that they're a quality human being. Because if you know all the stuff in the world, but you're a crap person, I have no time for you. I have no interest in you. I don't care if you know how to use every machine in our company. If you're a cancer in every organization you've been to, please don't show up.
Yeah. Yeah. And typically those guys that are very, very knowledgeable are not hop and ship somewhere for something easy.
No. Because if they're a good person, if they're a good, I'm going to say person, and they're good at what they do, they're probably very well taken care of, or they should be.
Yeah.
And if you're not, call me.
Well done.
That's just real.
Yeah. Well, and I also think you mentioned it as a cost for the on the recruiting end. Okay. The salary portion of all the guys in the shop is a component of what we can sell for those services.
Sure.
It's not I hate to bring everything down to a financial matter, because I mean, it's a horrible way of looking at things only.
But you run a business.
That is the brass tacks of it. Is what people are paying is essentially employee cost plus the machine cost plus consumables plus all the burden, whatever markup we can get based on what the market can pay.
Yeah.
If you're bringing on a guy at 30% extra costs, if you can't pass along 30% plus of the cost on the job, you can't make it.
Doesn't work.
Can't do it.
It just doesn't work.
You can't do it. And we do get, I would say, recruiter calls are number 3 in the most pesty callers.
What's number 2?
Insurance.
And number 1?
Freight.
Yes.
Freight calls. In the time we've sat here, we've gotten 30 freight calls. Nonstop.
Yeah.
And I do really feel sorry for a lot of them. I really do. As a sales guy who has called people and gotten shut down by receptionists for years and years, to be calling all the time about freight is it's not a good situation. Yes, it's got to be very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Easily 30, 40 calls per day.
About freight.
Yep.
Freight.
We do not ship that much.
Okay.
We do not ship that much. I don't want to give away my simple screening method. If I happen to get the phone, which National Tool does not have an answering service, you get a person.
Good for you.
You get a person when you call.
Good for you.
Which
it's rare.
You get lucky, you're probably gonna get me.
Yeah.
And my simple screening method for freight, if they give me your best route. If you have a best route, we're in Chicago. You tell me where you're going to ship and what you're going to ship that you will not lose at. You are going to be the best at. And 99 out of 100 salespeople will say, well, we're good at a little bit of this. We can do full truckloads. We got carriers. All
you just turned into like Hank Hill.
Don't, yeah. Dang gummit. Yes. You say that, it's thank you very much.
Yeah.
That is, we talked about specialization. Every company, if they're big enough, should have a purchasing guy that was a sales guy. Because salespeople know salespeople. We were just at MD&M.
Yeah.
You walk around trade shows, you walk around MD&M, and you see the booth full of salespeople.
Yep.
You can spot them a mile away. As they are qualifying you from the minute you walk by. A salesperson.
Sure.
I respect it 100%.
Yeah.
That is the way things are.
You got a job to do.
This is a shortcoming of tool shops. Walk past a tool shop's booth. Some of them have salespeople and some of them have tool makers as sales guys. This is a disservice. If you have a trade show booth and your sales guy is standing there, I don't want to ruin my, like this.
Oh, totally uninterested.
Not looking at anybody.
Yeah.
You're flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah. My least favorite one, not that one, is the one that the guy's sitting at the table because there's nobody walking by and he's just looking at his phone. And it's like, man, meet people in the aisle. Go out, shake hands, like be a little bit aggressive. Come up and say, hey, what are you looking for today? You may not have what they're looking for, but you may know somebody who does. And then you can pass them on and say, oh, you know what? Somebody could walk by and what are you looking for? Mold bases. You got to go see my guy. He's over in this booth. Go over there. Tell him Tony sent you over there. He'll take care of you.
Having those relationships, even with other salespeople.
Yes.
Anyone, they give you so much information. Salespeople love to talk.
Yes.
They love to talk and they visit a heck of a lot more shops than you. It is
they can help you get that in that you need.
Right before this started, I was outside on the phone.
Yeah.
Came inside here talking with a customer of ours. I think he's in administration, but I met him in a sales function. He called me about something totally unrelated to our business together.
Right.
Asking for a resource. We met at a trade show just about other stuff. It was not I'd rather be out in the shop, but I'm going to sit here unless somebody comes up and impresses me.
Right.
Then maybe I'll talk to him. It's a complete disservice.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many, and I think this is a product of the size shop people have to be profitable. You cannot be a 10 or 15 guy shop and have dedicated outgoing salespeople. Majority of the people coming off the floor and tool makers are not going to be outgoing, grabbing people out of the aisle. Salespeople. It's just the personality.
It's a rarity.
Difference. It's very rare.
It's a tremendous rarity. My father taught me a long time ago. He's not dead. He's alive. But he taught me a long time ago. The most important thing that you can do is be a Rolodex to somebody else. If you don't know what a Rolodex is, that means you're young. It's a little thing that holds your business cards, right? Like you collect all these business cards. And so he was almost like a collector of people. He had a person for everything, right? And it's a fun way to do life, right? Because then you get to refer your friends all the time. Like you need jewelry. I got a guy. He's in Addison. a friend of my dad's, good Greek man. His name is George Doshi's Jewelers. I'll take you over there. He'll give you a nice price, beautiful diamond, beautiful jewelry. It's amazing, right? I got a guy, right? You need insurance? I got a guy. You need a banker? I got a guy. You need a thing. And so my father became the guy that's got a guy, right? Like for everything, if somebody, John, I need someone to help me build this thing. I got it. So he became the go-to. Could he do the stuff? No, he just had people that he could trust that could do all the stuff. He had built so many relationships throughout his life. And he continues to build those relationships throughout his life that if there's something that you need, he's got a guy for every situation and everything. And I think it's a really good way to live your life. Is just like, and he never said, I'll tell you because I'll give you this person's name because I'm getting a kickback from it. And he wasn't getting money from all the referrals he was making. But there would come a time where somebody says, you should use John. Right.
It comes naturally back to you.
Yeah.
You're not talking about the black hand where he's going to like call that guy and say, didn't I give you
this
guy?
No. But if you have the other thing he always says, if you have the opportunity to help somebody, you should help them. So if I want you to have success, if somebody comes to me looking for something, I have an opportunity. I have two choices. I can say, I don't do that, or I got a guy for you that does.
You pulled out that quote from that book. You had a book ready. Very impressive. I'm just going to give you I read something somewhere.
Oh,
I read. I can't even give you a name. But I did read once.
Attaboy.
This. Wow.
Proud of you.
Nailed me. Someone's experience. This is horrible. Called up a really wealthy executive, and this always stuck with me. Got the guy on the phone and asked for a recommendation.
Yep.
Somewhere. I think I did it. Essentially, the long story short, this nobody called up this bigwig. Guy gladly gave him his time and effort, something that was put this guy out.
Yep.
And later on asked, why did you do it? And he goes, because since I achieved this status, that is what I do. If anyone asks, I give them my favor, my attention, and I don't ask for anything.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to come back around.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me only so much that I don't know the name or any of the principles, only the concept.
The concept is important. And I think this guy, whoever's doing that, I think he would say, as long as you remember the concept, I don't care if you know my name. Because that's the idea behind that, right? Like, help people to find success and achieve success. Like, I have an open door policy. I'll generally give anybody a chance on the phone. I rarely say, no, I'm not going to talk to you or whatever. Because I know what that's like. I've made those phone calls. It sucks, right? But when I tell you I'm not interested, I'm really not interested. And there's no amount of you talking that's going to change my mind. I just know those things. And that's for like a salesperson. But if somebody's calling or, somebody asks me something, somebody wants to come in and have a conversation, I love talking to people. And if I can help them in some way, great. It usually doesn't take much of your time. I mean, 15, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour. That's crazy time, right? It's crazy time. No first conversation is going to be a half hour to pick your brain on some random thing. But I mean, we had the team at Falcon Plastics. I love them. Jen and Lindsay and Chrissa and the whole group, right? They came in and they said, we were thinking maybe we want to do a podcast. I said, awesome. It's great, right? Like, I could get that's my thing, but I don't care. Like, if you want to listen to this, great. I appreciate you listening. I hope you find some value in it. Awesome. Hopefully one day we can meet and be buddies. I don't own podcasts, right? I care about this industry. I care about manufacturing continuing to grow and get bigger and get better. So the more voices out there, the better off it is. So they came in and they said, what do you use for this? What do you use for that? What do you use for that? I said, come on in. Like, I'll walk you through all of it. I'll show you how I use my software. I'll show you how the camera's set up. I'll tell you what microphones we got. I'll tell you what I tried, what I didn't try. It doesn't cost me anything to be nice and share input and advice. It's time, but that's it.
But it's because you care. You care. I'll tell you this. I'm very humbled that people showed up for this.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Names that I
Crazy.
recognize. I was going to be just
disappointed.
Oh man, stunned if nobody showed up. It would have ruined me. But people care.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that care.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone cares enough that they're walking into any place cold is a strenuous situation. It is some real effort. And it's just coming from someone. I have gone to Keokuk, Iowa, to one shop and seen another tool and die shop and walked through the door. That sucks. It is a tough thing to walk in and put yourself out there to do it.
Yep.
It's worth giving someone their time, your time, and at least input. If it's not even a fit, say this isn't a fit, but
yep,
at least 10 seconds of cognition that this person does this, they could do this.
Right.
There's someone trying, and not everyone is trying. And this is something I really feel like an old guy, just crabbing.
I mean,
okay,
we're not getting younger.
Crabbing.
That's just the reality.
Well, I got something. Let me finish this.
Get off my lawn.
Okay, I turned 44 this year.
Okay.
I just read something from somebody else. 44 and 66 are your two oldest aging points.
Oh, really?
That you hit a milestone at 44 years old and 66. Those are your key aging. So this is like the first turn on the back nine.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, this is a real crabby moment.
Buckle up, everybody. This is Eric being crabby.
Well, sales guy to sales guy.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get a phone call from me, it's the first phone call. I don't email. You get a phone call. You get a phone call because you're getting my attention and my effort.
Yeah.
Okay. I get the same form email from 100 different manufacturing companies. It has, this is the immediate tell for everyone's future use. On the bottom of it, there is the same, if you don't want to hear from me, please click unsubscribe in the exact same template.
Yeah.
There is an online service doing this lead generating thing. People are paying. It is a Hail Mary. We're going to pay for 1,000 troublesome emails. In some industries, it might work. For me personally,
I think it's lazy.
It's extremely lazy.
Yeah.
It's extremely lazy.
Every email I send, I type individually.
Ditto.
Personalized.
Ditto. Years and years.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah.
If I talk to you, you're going to get the email from me with what we talked about. We had that conversation. This is not I'm sure you get the same emails. You ever get it where they screw up and it's like hashtag at contact one? It's like, thanks for talking at Sanderg, but
and it's not just with emails. I mean, here we go. We're cranky old men. We're like the old guys in a Muppet sitting up in the balcony. It's not just with emails. I get it with phone calls. Like you can tell, like people have their stock phone call conversation that they're going to have. Hey, Tony, this is so-and-so from such and such. And we talked at the trade show about you wanting to change your booth. And I was like, we talked? Like you and I talked? And they're like, yeah, you said that you were interested in getting a booth update. And I was like, okay, hold on. First of all, I do our booth. I put it all together. I designed the whole thing and I like our booth. So there's no reason I would have that conversation to start with. So now I know you're lying to me, right? Because one, we never had the conversation. Two, I'm not interested in changing it. And three, all you had to do was call me and say, are you happy with your booth design? Right? But when you start as a liar, Now I can't trust you. And I'm not too stupid to remember the conversations that I've had about, trade shows and stuff. So I just told the guy, I was like, listen, not interested. This is why. I told him why. And I never heard from him again. It was great.
I think we start forgetting those conversations at 66. 40,
is that what it is?
44, you start.
Is that what it is?
66.
Okay. So at 66, I might fall for it.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. Sales is a very interesting thing to me. It's necessary, right? Like, and I think that sometimes if you are the guard dog or the gatekeeper or whatever that is at your business, I would encourage you, or if you're not, if you have a gatekeeper and a guard dog at your business who's supposed to stop people from getting in the front door, not to bother the decision makers, I think that you should give them a card or a cheat sheet that tells them what things they may actually be interested in hearing from.
Ingenious.
We had a customer. We tried going to see them over and over and over again. And the gatekeeper would say, no, they're not interested. No, they're not here. You can leave your materials. Like all the stuff. We finally, Michelle, I think, met them at a trade show, or we had an opportunity to do work with them one time. Maybe they came into our shop. I don't remember the exact way that this went. While this person is in our shop or we're talking to them, they said, wait, you do this and you do this and you do that. You do polishing and you do welding and you do hot runner repair and you do mold repair. We can use you so much. Where have you been our whole lives? And it's like, we've been stuck at the desk. We can't get in. Like, it's annoying. Let us in the door. And so I just think that there are certain things that I know I need help with. And as a company, there's certain things that, like if somebody that does this calls, please put them through.
Yeah.
Like that would be so helpful for me. Right. I think but they're also doing their job, right? They don't know what's needed and what's not needed in the company.
Yeah. To trust that every person is perfectly aligned with the heartbeat. And you have a lot of different things going on, a bunch of different facets of the company. To have everyone aligned and all that is, we have an inter-office call every Friday with the two different shops, keeping everything aligned with just the comings and goings, because everyone is in their bubble. And even that is,
it's hard to do.
Yeah. It's very tough to keep up with, and it's a constantly moving goalpost. The problems of yesterday are not problems of
right.
It's the same thing with our investment in equipment and all. The goalpost is constantly moving. You plug up this hole and the next one opens. It's just nothing is definite.
No. But I would say if there are certain things that you're hoping to have help with, let somebody know what that looks like. Or, I can't tell. I hate when, no, I don't. I like somebody comes in and like, is so-and-so here? I'll be like, sure, I'll talk to them. It's fine. I love giving people tours around. I love showing people what we got going on. It's fun. And it goes back to what you were saying. Like if it takes 15 minutes out of my day, okay. It may pay off. It may not. It's worth the risk, in my opinion.
No, I'm opening myself up for real disaster here.
Oh boy.
Sometimes even if it's not a great sales call, I enjoy talking to people with a personality. If they call and really give their effort, I will give them my best advice. I'm not qualified to give advice, but advice on somebody I think would be a good prospect for them.
Sure.
Someone in parallel industries.
Sure.
If you're calling to change my long distance carrier at this pair, it's not a good one.
Yeah.
But at least someone is really trying. It's great.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it there's a lot of different ways that you can go with that situation. So far we've covered a lot of topics.
I think so.
I think we've been around the horn here.
I would say that
for a little bit.
time already? Or
No, go
are you
ahead.
pushing it here? I would say this is a humbling experience.
Yeah.
While talking on this. Had a lot of opportunities. What did you reach out a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. About a month ago, I think.
Yeah. Thinking of possible topics to really talk about, because we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really in the same kind of community.
Yeah.
Maybe just what's encountering. I mean, I guess I would encourage anyone that you want to have on this to,
it's not so bad,
think
right?
about doing it. Well, I'm going to say that I'm shaking because it's cold here, not kind of nervous, but yeah, for everyone down south that doesn't realize what knuckleheads we are here, it's 10 degrees.
Yes,
I think a high of 10 degrees.
It's a little bit chilly.
But I think it's still a good business to be in.
I absolutely think it's a good business to be in. And I think that I said this the other day. Plastic is not going away. Ever. It's not. It's not going to be a thing that goes away. It's a very necessary material. I think that plastic is going to change, but I don't think it's going to go away.
Do you think for the good or bad?
Changing. I think it'll change for the good. I think that.
All right. I got some people that would disagree with you.
That's fine.
Take a look at this.
That's fine.
This bottle cap here.
Yes, I got a whole thing on bottle caps.
This is illegal in Europe right now.
The bottle cap?
The bottle caps, they mandated that they have to be a one-piece bottle cap like this. It's connected.
Okay.
You know, it makes me spill my water every time, all over myself.
Again, right? So different skills for different people. We talked about that before. If you want to be somebody that makes a decision that this is how a bottle cap has to work, you better know an engineer to say whether or not that's realistic or not, right? We, when we were at MD&M West, they had bottles like that. And there were little bottles that we were giving to people when they came up to do interviews. Nobody knew how to open them. Nobody knew how to open them, and nobody knew how to drink out of them. We all had the same problem. And it's like, that's not what this does.
I'll tell you what it does. You have half the people that take the bottle like this and yank it.
Yes.
So it becomes this anyways.
Yes.
The other half gets a second plastic cup and pours the water in the plastic.
Now you got that in that cup. You know, the other ones is like the over molded ones where like it pops, you tear the thing, it pops, and then it's like a
like a sport bottle.
Yeah. I don't like those either. I just unscrew it and I drink out of the top.
Bottle. I like the sport bottle.
Do you?
Yeah, the squeezy thing.
Yeah,
although occasionally you get the air bubble that spurts on you.
Yeah, I just like to open it and drink a water bottle. I like to drink a bottle of water or whatever that is, Fanta, the way it was intended. Take the thing off and just drink the stupid bottle. But I think that here's what I think plastic is going to continue to get better. I think that they're coming out with new materials, which is good. They're working on the recyclability of it more and the sustainability of it more. I think sustainability means something different to everybody. I think that's one of those big, like, $100 words that everybody wants to talk about and have an opinion on, but not everybody wants to do something about. And I think it's slowly getting better. I think people are a little bit more respectful of not throwing certain things away and putting them in the recycling bin, whether it goes to the right place after it goes in the recycling bin. I don't know. Can't tell. That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But again, you go to COVID, plastic was really, really important when COVID happened. Nobody talked about getting rid of plastic at that point. Everything had to be plastic, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think that, I mean, it's here to stay. Plastic is a thing that's going to be around for a really long time. And I think that we can be more responsible in the things that we do with it. How we make things and the material and where it goes and how it breaks down. There's a friend of ours out in California. Her name is Tina. And she started creating a whole business. She was a molder. And she started creating a whole business where she developed a way to recycle all plastics. Didn't matter what it was. And so she's in the middle of pushing that out there. And it's amazing, right? Like if you could figure that out, I mean, good for you, right? Like you got decks that are made out of recycled material. You got all these things. I just think that nobody's put forth the real effort to get that done. You know, you look at, I don't want to get political. You can think however you want to think, but I'm going to say, when you look at like what's going on with Doge and all the money that they're finding and all the things, I'm not going to, I'm going to say, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that they're finding this out. And if you don't think it's a good thing because of whatever reason, you don't like the way it's being done or whatever, well, it's never been done before and they're finding a lot of stuff, right? So you need somebody to just take that first step and say, we're going to do something, we're going to make change. And so when you look at plastic, for instance, there's a lot of talk and yapping going on and not a lot of stuff that's actually making the situation better. It's going to take somebody to say, this is what we have to do to make this better. Let's make it better.
Well, there's a lot of criticism for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, there's always a lot of criticism in action.
Yeah.
And then people make the bold, the no plastic straw broad step versus slowly attacking what the true issues are. Oh, we got a comment, huh?
We do. We have a comment here. How do you, this is Wall Maker, Modern Wall Makers. How are you? Thank you for coming and joining us. How do you see the mold industry for the future?
Well, I'm upbeat about it. I better be.
Yeah.
we better be pretty bullish on the subject.
Yes.
I think for the people that are doing it here, it's a boom area. How you go about doing it cannot be the old way you've done it for the last 50 years. And I think mold makers have been very innovative in embracing newer technology and doing that. I see more and more opportunities with a lot more risk involved. This is something that we're living in every day, of how customers are doing this to put more out.
Yep.
It is going to sound very self-serving. They're relying on you and me more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small shops there's not enough money to go around to do everything under one roof. You have to trust more and more people to do a portion of that work, or else you're never going to be able, no bank is going to give you the money to buy enough equipment and enough people to grow. But I do see with what's going on politically that it will be incentivized more and more in the future to do things here.
Yes.
And if you're able to do that work and willing to take on that work and that responsibility, there will be more. There'll be more money in the future to do it. If you have the ambition to do more, but it's going to take a lot more trust. Yeah. It took a long time to figure out, as a salesperson here, you're knocking on doors and you see the steel that you do and what the customers use and why won't you give us a chance? Maybe it took me 15 years to figure out that our customer base was very risk adverse. Very, very, very risk adverse. That a savings or trying something new for a little benefit, they're very, very risk adverse due to the amount of work that goes into everything that we do. Okay. It has to be overwhelmingly we cannot get this done unless we trust somebody or we try somebody new. It has to be overwhelmingly a $1 lottery ticket for $1 million win. Not $1 for $10.
Sure.
I think that we've made big steps at winning people over with consistent work, with having that relationship, with not being a website or a blank email. So you know who to call. It's how we handle it in national. If you have a problem, you call me.
Yeah. I think that I'm very optimistic about the mold industry for the future. And here's why. Just like I think plastic is not going away, If plastic's not going away, you still have to make stuff, right? Everything is made from some sort of a mold, right? Whether it's a blow mold, whether it's an injection mold, whether it's a rubber mold. Most things that we use in our everyday lives are done with some sort of a mold. That is going to be something that has to continue to be made over and over again. And, just like when COVID happened, you had shops that closed, and then you had shops that stayed open and fought through and flourished, and they did really well. And I think right now we're seeing another one of those times where you're going to have either shops that close or shops that go, you know what, in the words of Scott Phipps, damn the torpedoes. We're not going down. Like, I'm going to be a rhino and just charge ahead, and we're going to get this done. We're going to find a way to do it. We're going to make this happen. We're going to buckle down, and we are going to stick with it. And then it's going to ride back up. I mean, I told you I was talking with Lori Harbour at MD&M West, and she said she is incredibly bullish about manufacturing right now and the direction that it's going to be taking for U.S. manufacturing. That gives me a lot of hope, because Lori is somebody that knows what she's talking about. She's been in the industry for a long time. She talks to the people on Capitol Hill. She knows what's happening in all the industries. And so when Lori says that, it gives me great hope. And so my encouragement is, like, you're a high school kid and you don't know what you want to do. Go find an apprentice program, or go to TMA. TMA has a fantastic training program on how to become a mold maker. They want more mold makers. We need more of these people to continue to do these things in this industry. More and more stuff is being made every single day. Like, you dream up an idea and a product, you can make it, right? Whether that's with a 3D printer or whatever that looks like. If you dream it up, you can make that thing. Now, say you make a cool product on your 3D printer. Well, now you got to make 100,000 of those, and you're not going to 3D print 100,000 of those, right? You're going to print the first 100 as prototypes, and then you're going to have to find a mold maker to build you that mold to make those parts so that you can keep going. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of what we do. It's a part of industry, and it's not something that I think is ever going to die out. We just need to refill the pipelines with those people that want to do that. And I think so many kids for so long became iPad kids. We were talking about that a little bit, right? Like, all they do is look at their iPad. They're tired of screens. My son, Jack, some of you know who he is. He's 18 years old. He's tired of screens. My daughter is 15 years old. Grace is tired of screens. Like, they would rather do the things, right? They don't want to be stuck behind a screen. They want to work with their hands. They want to do different things. And what I've seen is when we bring younger people into the manufacturing space, I mean, you walk through, you saw we got some younger guys here. They don't realize what it actually takes to make things. Like, things don't just exist. You actually have to make them. There's a process. There's a thing. And I think this new generation of kids, whatever grade you want to say, they like making things. These kids love 3D printers, making the little lizards or the things that move. And I think people really like to make things and be involved in that. Wow.
The whole world has gone so virtual.
Yes.
Okay. Everything is virtual on a screen or so. This is for me personally, from going to school and then just starting out in work on the phone to now. Over time here, have had the opportunity to see fronthand a lot of stuff you see in stores, products getting developed. That is something you see. Unfortunately, I signed a bunch of paperwork, an unbelievable amount of paperwork to say that I can't talk about a lot of products.
Yeah, same.
That you see in stores, or you see cars, or you see stuff. Being able to go and see something you use every day and had a little part of that.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
It is pretty cool. As far as an advertisement for mold making or manufacturing or any of that. Hey, we were talking about some products earlier today that I didn't have to sign an NDA for. That you see I had a little piece of that. We've made this. We had this customer. We built this mold base, and our customer is making this, and it's at Menards, or they're making
Yep.
this, and it's a rear view. Maybe I'm easily amused.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty cool versus
It's very cool.
some of the crazy stuff that's happening online.
No, it's very cool. Our friend had another question. I don't know why it's not showing up over here, but he was asking, do you think that metal 3D printers will replace a solid metal mold tool? No. I think that there is a place for certain things to be to utilize different metal additive processes, but I don't think that there will come a time for all molds where they won't be machined; they'll be 3D printed. One of my good friends, Scott Kramer, you know Scott, he's at Exact Metal now. He's going to be on the show with us in a few weeks, I think. He's a great person to ask that question to. And we had a chance to talk at MD&M West, and he said, no, there's certain things that are made for 3D printing, and there's certain things that are made for traditional manufacturing. Some things make sense and some things don't. Some things are more cost effective and some things are not. And you have to know the tool. It's just another tool in the toolbox. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a replacement for everything. It's a tool. Do you need to do conformal cooling? Yeah. Additive is the way to go. You need a standard mold built. Well, then you should machine it. It's going to be a lot faster and cheaper.
Well said. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of skinning.
Yeah.
You know, there is certainly a use for that. You can make it. I'm certain we do things that are archaic to some and cutting edge to others.
Of course.
So,
of course. All right, let's do some 5 questions real quick.
5 questions.
5 questions. Yeah. Quick 5 questions. And then that was an hour and 40 minutes so far.
No way.
Yeah. See, time flies when you're having fun. All right. Question number 1. If you had to make one rule that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
Oh man, these are deep thoughts questions.
They are deep thought questions. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have to answer them?
Yeah.
Oh man.
One rule.
I'm gonna be no fun. I got nothing.
You know,
I got nothing.
Last week,
open it up to the crowd.
Yeah, last week, Jennifer Yale, she had probably the best question I've heard for this, and she said the one rule that she would make that everyone had to follow was every single day you had to do something to help someone else that sets you back.
Well, that sets you back.
That makes you uncomfortable.
That's too much.
That's too much. You don't like that rule?
Okay,
you could say whatever you want.
In that vein, I would just say, everyone take a shot. Give your best effort.
Yeah.
We're not promised anything. You might as well try. You might as well try something.
Wayne Gretzky up there. I'm not a Kings fan, but I am a Gretzky fan for a lot of reasons. You miss 100% of the shots you never take, right?
Yeah. Life is too short not to try.
Yeah.
And that would be a good one.
All right. Question number 2. What is the one thing that you are superstitious about?
One thing. I don't know if I'm necessarily superstitious about anything. There's no P in that, superstitious.
Superstitious. Are you superstitious?
I had to finally catch you on something. You've been like Johnny on the spot.
Superstitious? Are you you afraid to poop in certain places?
Well, I certainly don't do that. And by the way, coming back from no toilet seats in Europe.
No.
You go to a public restroom in Europe, no toilet seats.
You just hover?
No toilet seats. Well, they don't want you sitting there.
Wow.
They don't want you. So I was not using a lot of public.
People must be a lot more productive.
Yeah. As far as superstitious, no, I will say I'm very germophobic.
Okay.
So washing my hands quite a bit.
All right. Yeah. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. If you swap genders for the day, how would you spend your time?
Jeez. Swap genders.
Yeah. I would say swap genders and didn't look like a man.
Yeah, I would be hideous.
If I swap genders and I still look like this, I don't think I would do anything different.
I don't know, free drinks, right?
I guess
That
yeah.
would be that would probably be
Yeah.
the first thing. But I wouldn't go any further than that.
Yeah. I said I know what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't give birth.
No, that's horrible.
I got no interest.
Horrible.
My dad said one time, and I loved it. There's not a day that goes by that I wake up and I wish I was a woman.
Yeah, they drew the short straw.
And that's not to
I
say
agree that's okay.
I have anything against women. I think women are great, but I don't want to be one.
Hey, we lucked out.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
These are going swimmingly. I've got nothing.
As the big reader that you are, what book do you think should be mandatory for everyone on the planet to read?
Everyone on the planet.
If you can't think of a book, what movie do you think everybody on the planet should have to see?
Well, I did read one good book. I don't know if this is mandatory. I read a book called Sapiens. I
Okay.
think you read that.
All right.
It kind of origin of man, explains kind of why people are the way they are.
Okay.
A little bit dry,
Yeah.
but it made me think
Okay.
a little bit. Most of the stuff I read are page turners. I'm a simpleton.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got one? You've been like
A book that I
New
think
York
everyone should
Times
read.
here.
I think I just read a book that I think every business owner should read, and it is called Unreasonable Hospitality. It's a book about the restaurant industry specifically, and it talks about, as the title says, unreasonable hospitality. How do you go above and beyond for your customers so that they have the experience? And so it's a restaurant in New York, and they became the #1 restaurant in the world.
Really?
And that was like, they sat down, they said, this is our goal. We want to be the #1 restaurant in the world. How do we do that? And they set out, and it's a long journey on all the things that they were able to do and accomplish. And it's a really good read. I saw them at the Global Leadership Summit. And so everything they said, I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and I was like,
Nice.
this is an awesome kind of game-changing idea. How do you apply it? How do you take these nuggets now and how do you apply that? Like, the restaurant industry is very different than what we do. So how do you take some of those nuggets and what does that look like? The application process. The other book that I really, really like for business, and Ray Coombs told me that I need to buy this book. So I love Ray, and he's done a great job. And so I bought it, and it's called Raving Fans.
Raving Fans. Okay.
So it's a little book. You can get through it pretty quickly. It's a story book, not just like a self-improvement book, I guess you would say. And the gist of that book is you don't want customers, you want raving fans. You want people that, if you have a customer, your customer is just waiting for the next cheapest thing, right? A raving fan is going to keep coming back and telling the story about why they use you and why you're special. They're going to do the marketing and the sales for you instead of you having to do it for them. And so how do you create raving fans?
Yeah, Ray Coombs seemed to have it all figured out.
The dude, I love that guy.
He's got it all figured out.
I love that
Actually, this is a public forum to say. Starting out, right when we bought National, he was one of the true people that, even though I knew nothing, treated me with a lot of respect.
Yes.
And probably had the opportunity to call me out on not knowing anything, and didn't.
Yep.
It was extremely positive. And I always remember him for that.
Yeah. Amazing dude. Now, if you have sensitive ears and you don't like colorful language, you may not like Ray. I mean, he has sharpened his pencil a little bit. He is a little bit more mindful than he was when I first met him. But the dude is probably the most passionate and caring person that I've met in the industry. Like, just really, really good guy, all the way around. So All right, question number 5. If you're going on a road trip, what are your 3 must-haves that you cannot do without?
Road trip, family. I like having family around.
All right.
I can be practical. I hate to say it, a cell phone.
Yeah.
Hard to go without.
It really is.
Age myself. I was a MapQuest guy.
Me too.
That was
it's awful.
Like printing out directions. Not Atlas days. When I first went into outside sales, it was MapQuest.
Yeah. Not safe at all. Like when you're thinking about MapQuest and you got like printed sheets and you got to read along with where you're supposed to turn and what that's supposed to look like. That
you look around at other people driving.
Yeah, nobody.
I saw a girl doing her eyes on the way into work this morning.
Yeah, nobody is very safe. To be honest. All right, we are getting ready to wrap up here. If you are still with us and you have a prayer request, go ahead and put that in the chat. Eric, any prayer requests?
I'll take any I can get, man.
Any that you can get?
Yeah,
that's good. All right. Here is how you reach my friend Eric. Come on, go. There you go. Email Eric at NTM.
Yeah, I'm easily accessible.
Yeah. He's on LinkedIn. He'll give you his phone number. He wants people to call him. He's going to dox himself. He's going to give you his address, his phone number.
That's true. We'll see what we can get.
All the stuff because we're in sales. Like if you can't reach us, it's basically useless, right? Like we need to be able to get a hold of people. We need people to be able to get a hold of us so that we can have those conversations.
The random text messages I get now.
I mean, it's fun.
Some of them.
It's fun. If nothing else, you get to laugh about it.
That's a good point.
All right. I'm gonna wrap us up here. We're gonna pray and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. So we'll do that first. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for my friend Eric and for the journey that he's been on. Thank you for his willingness to share his story and his input and his knowledge. And I just pray that anybody that is listening, that they would get some value out of the conversation that we had, and that you would be with them, and that you would help to open their eyes and change their hearts and realize that there's more to this world and this life than the sales that we're talking about. Help us to be those kind of people that will welcome people in and give them time and resources and knowledge and effort and care. I just pray that this time has been meaningful to the people that listened, and that it was glorifying to you. And thank you for all the stuff that you help me with every single day. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
It was important to me, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of the show. I've had people say, like, I can't believe that you do that. And I'm like, I can't believe that I wouldn't. Like, this is sometimes, I mean, that could be the only prayer that somebody gets all month. And it's the only thing that I think like you go, who can help me with this, right? And I know who can help me with this, no matter what that is. And so I have no problem with that. Like Paul says, I'm not ashamed of the gospel. It is a really important part of my life. So
you're very good at this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you listening or watching would like to be part of the show, please reach out. We want to be able to tell your stories. We want to keep this going. We want to tell more manufacturing stories. We want to see this industry continue to grow and succeed and be bigger than we could possibly imagine it right now. We, like Eric said, we have shops closing. We have people buying shops. We have people trying to figure out where that next job is going to come from. We need this industry to keep growing and continuing. There are a lot of people in this space right now, and it is growing. It is getting bigger. It is getting better. It is getting everything that you want it to be. And so the next couple months, we are loaded with guests that are going to keep telling the story about how American manufacturing is important and what that looks like, whether you're male, female, whatever race, wherever you come from. We want to tell your story. So if you're interested, contact me at Tony@AllianceLaserSales.com, and we will definitely get you on the show. If you're interested in having us do any work for you, we want to do that also. Same address. We're making this really, really easy for you. today. And do me a favor, just share the information. Share it with a friend of yours or somebody that you think might find some value in this show and what we're doing. We want to continue to tell those stories. And we will see you at PT Expo. And come by, say hello. Do you know what booth you're in? No.
Oh man, I just looked at it yesterday too.
The good thing
Darn
about
it.
PT Expo is it's not a huge show. I think that there's a tremendous value in the fact that it's not a huge show. Like I look at NPE and NPE is too big. IMTS is like, it's a monster. By the time you get to the person that you want to talk to, it's too late. You go to PT Expo and it's like being back with your friends. You know what I mean?
It is a good place for conversations.
Yeah, you remember the conversations you had.
We end up seeing a lot of customers.
Yeah.
And there'll be plenty of time. A 3-day show?
Yes. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yep. And there's an after hours on Tuesday night. Alliance will be having a dinner on Wednesday night if you're interested. I think we might have pizza throughout the week if you come by the booth. Come get a slice on us. Let's have a conversation. And while you're there, you can use our Advantage laser engraver, and you can use our ID1. We're going to have the laser welder up and running as well, so people can sit and weld and see what that experience is all about. But that is for March. And for now, we are going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care, and God bless.